It's the beginning of the great British summer, and we're out once again in the stunningly beautiful Northamptonshire countryside, this time in search of muntjac and roebuck. As morning breaks, Frederick Hanner and I begin preparing our equipment. It's a very early start, but this is the perfect time to catch deer on the move. Also along for the ride is Steve Wild, who will be hunting in a different area of woodland. Steve has hunted this ground many times before and is very familiar with the best spots to look. Straight into the Highseat, Steve is quickly set up and ready to go. Frederick has a little more luck with sightings. Unfortunately, the deer are easily spooked and make a quick escape. As the woodland begins to wake up with the sunrise, the odd sightings of small creatures also give Frederick hope for the buck he's looking for. As luck would have it, a young buck walks out confidently right in front of the Highseat. Frederick takes no time in setting up the shot. A clean shot and a nice young buck for the cull sheet. A great start to the day.
Morning. It's early May and we're in the East Midlands this morning and we're after some muntjac and roebuck. Got my normal stalking gear with me. Got my Blaser R8 Professional Success in its 308 format. I've got my Hawk Frontier 30 5-30 x 50 scope. It's a scope that I use a lot. I've got my Hawk Endurance 10-56 binos, which I take everywhere. Good sturdy pair of binos. Summer's getting on now, everything's started to shoot up. Undergrowth's pretty thick, just to give us a bit of an edge on the edge of the rides where it's not too thick. Got the Pulsar Helion XP50 thermal imager. You can just see in, hopefully see things moving in between the trees that your naked eye normally wouldn't pick up. We've been here since 4:30, which was a bit of an early start, but you've got to try and get in before first light breaks, and we were just about spot on, so that was good. We're going to sit here for another hour or so, till about 7 o'clock I think, and then we'll have a walk down the outsides of the woods, see if we can see any roe that have come out.
After gralloching the buck, Frederick sets out on foot to look for further signs of muntjac, taking his time to scan the undergrowth and using the butylode call to lure in an inquisitive buck. It's an amazing sight to see does with their fawns, but these are not what we're looking for today. Following the field margins, Frederick catches another fantastic sighting of a doe and her young. Somehow wary of the attention, the doe makes a quick escape. However, with the doe sightings so frequent, the bucks can't be far away. Stalking back towards the Highseat, Frederick's keen eye spots a buck. The undergrowth is dense, so he must be patient to thread his shot through the twigs and branches. His patience pays off, and Frederick makes a perfect shot for his second of the morning. It's another young buck. Frederick quickly grallochs a deer to ensure the meat is preserved as much as possible. It's important that all of the meat is returned to the food chain. Steve hasn't enjoyed the same level of success, but it doesn't dampen his spirits, as he also decides to go for a stalk, checking the wind direction before setting off to ensure he remains downwind. Moving cautiously through the dense undergrowth and crouching under the thick vegetation, Steve emerges the other side into a luscious field of rapeseed. He takes a few moments to scan the area before moving on. Although Steve doesn't spot any muntjac during this stalk, it's a lovely morning and a wonderful place to be at this time of year. Moving back further into the forest, he checks the wind direction once more before continuing his stalk. Suddenly, Steve spots a muntjac doe foraging on the ride.
Okay, so I've just stalked into a muntjac doe. She was only about 50, 70 yards, something like that, just there on my right hand side. She looked very big around the belly to me. She looked quite pregnant, so I decided not to take her. Although there's no season for muntjac, as we know, it's just my decision and I decided not to do it. I've had a lovely morning. Sun's come up and it's been really, really nice this last half hour. We've had a nice walk about, lots and lots of signs, slots everywhere. We're going to push on down this ride now. We'll hunt all the way down to the gate and it won't be long before Ian picks us up now, so we'll push on.
So beautiful morning once again. Started off a bit wet, but it stopped after maybe 20 minutes. So we had perfect wind, went up on our Highseat, saw one straight away from the Highseat, too dark to take the shot still, we couldn't really see what it was, so passed that one. Then we had two actually behind us, which was a bit frustrating because we couldn't turn and shoot them. But eventually young buck comes right out in front of the Highseat, beautiful shot, goes straight down, so really good one to take out for meat. And then we waited maybe for another hour and thought, let's go for a little stalk into a doe with a fawn straight away. Really nice to see. First time for me to see the Muntjac fawns. Continue stalking a bit more. We see another doe with another fawn out in the field for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, which is absolutely beautiful to see. And then on our way back to the Highseat actually, all of a sudden there's this young buck, so he jumps out in front of us. I thought we had spooked him. He was kind of quartering away from us, so I gave it a couple of squeaks with the butterlo, turned around, presented a good shot, so that's the second one down for the morning, and I think it's the best thing that could happen. Turned out perfect. Really, really glad.
We're going to push on now, and I think we're going to do a bit more stalking around another block of woodland, so all is not lost, and the day pushes on. So that's it for this morning, and we'll crack on and see what this afternoon brings.
Following a successful morning for the team, we all decide to go for another stalk in a neighbouring forest. We leave Frederick set up with a view into 2 rides, while Steve and I stalk around the forest. Using the Pulsar Helion XP50, it's easier to spot any deer lurking in the undergrowth, which can be pretty much impossible with the naked eye. Steve sets up for a shot while I attempt to call in a muntjac with the butterlo. Unfortunately, nothing appears, so we decide to move on. Even though we don't spot any deer, we see plenty of slots, so we know they're here. Looping back around, we meet up with Frederick, but alas, no deer. I think it's time to go and grab some breakfast. But first, we need to take care of the deer we shot earlier this morning. Being a butcher by trade, Steve shows us how it's done. After refueling with the customary full English breakfast, we head back out at midday to scout a new area of woodland to decide on Highseat locations. Steve takes his rifle just in case, as you never know when a muntjac might step out. Successful deer management includes a great deal of preparation and husbandry. This process is vital to ensure you can gain a clear understanding of your deer population and can make the right choices when it comes to selecting the appropriate animals to cull. Frederick sets out for another evening stalk, hoping to be as successful as this morning. Frederick sets up in a high seat, which is often the best approach when the undergrowth is this thick. Steve returns to the wood he stalked earlier this morning, eager to find that elusive muntjac buck. Steve uses the call to try and entice the buck in. Suddenly, the buck responds to the call. He's very close. Steve sets up his rifle ready for the shot and uses the call once more. The buck replies, and Steve spots him in the undergrowth. Steve makes the perfect shot.
Saw him way up there. I think it's the same buck that we bumped on the way up. We won't be bumping him again. Right, let's go and have a look. Okay, what an afternoon that was. Absolutely fantastic. And when we were walking up the wood, we bumped him up, he barked and he went across the wood and out and gone. We went around the top, took a time, used the pulsar thermal imager, absolutely invaluable this time of the year with the cover as it is. It's been absolutely fantastic piece of kit. We've got to get these bucks down, we've got to thin the numbers out a little bit. So for the culling job, brilliant, absolutely perfect. I've used that more this afternoon than I have done my binos because the cover has been so thick. And what a result. Beautiful old boy. He's been fighting, he's scarred all down his neck, his ears are ripped, he's got a bit of a infected pedicle there on top of his head. But cracking afternoon. Saw that doe this morning, decided not to take her, which I'm really happy about now because this is the result. So happy. Been a brilliant day. Excellent. Okay, what an afternoon that's been. Well, what a day it's been, actually. It's been a fantastic day stalking. I've taken a fantastic buck this afternoon. Frederick took 2 this morning and had a nice stalk again this afternoon, but didn't see anything, did you?
We didn't see anything, no. Some squirrels, some pheasants, but
that's the way it goes.
Tell me about it. What?
Yeah.
How did it happen?
Oh, it was really good. We were walking up a ride first of all, and we bumped him, and he barked and he shot off across the wood.
Yeah.
And we stalked round really slowly, right the way around the top of the ride. And as we were coming back down, jumped out on the ride, looked over his shoulder.
No way.
Yeah, but the wind was perfect, and he must have thought, what's that? I'm not sure. Just wandered back in, and he wandered back up the bushes, just got a clear lane at him, bump, about 50 yards, stone dead, perfect. So I'm really, really chuffed, and he's a fantastic buck. Can't wait to show you.
And it does show they are active during the day. I mean,
oh yeah,
all day. You can go out and you can find them.
He was browsing about and he was feeding, and it's been warm, but it's been absolutely fantastic.
Great stuff.
Absolutely fantastic.
Let's go check him out. Congrats.
It's been an absolute pleasure hunting with you, Frederick.
And you.
We've had a great time.
Can't
it's been
wait to
really,
see
really
you
good.
again.
No, I'm going to show you. Come on, boy.